The hashtag EndSARS peaceful protests left the streets on the night of Tuesday, October the 20th, which is sometimes referred to as Black Tuesday. But several weeks after, the effects of about 2 weeks of protests, which spread across the whole country, are still being felt. Sometime during the peaceful protests and in the days following, miscreants infiltrated the hashtag EndSARS movement, looting everything from food to electronics and destroying property running into billions of naira. The special anti-robbery squad against which the youths were protesting has been disbanded, and the training of a new elite police team known as the Special Weapons and Tactics Unit, SWAT, has begun, with the promise that, among other things, no personnel of the defunct Special Anti-Robbery Squad will be selected as part of the team. Operations of the new tactical team will be driven by intelligence. No member of the new team will go out on routine patrols, and it will be unlawful for any member of the special team to carry out indiscriminate and unlawful searches of mobile phones, laptops, and other smart devices. Some of the duties they are to be reserved for include response to robberies, scenes of crimes involving or related to weapons, and special operations involving high-profile criminality. This week's special report will look at activities in the wake of the hashtag EndSARS protests, efforts to rebuild the police force, and strategies to put the country on the path to a semblance of normalcy. You're welcome. I am Mary Alale Yusuf, standing in for Ini John Mekwa.
It became apparent that all was not well with the hashtag EndSARS protests. When rampaging youths in Edo State, said to have infiltrated the peaceful protest, invaded the Benin Correctional Center on Sapele Road, enabling about 10 inmates to escape. They also burned down several police stations in the state. Several installations were looted in Lagos. Police stations, public and private property burned. Like the Nigeria Ports Authority and television stations, the public transportation system has taken a dent also, as misguided youths torched several buses at different locations in the state.
Looking at so many factors that played out during the protests, it's so obvious that it was hijacked. One was a very obvious one that happened in the middle of the very peaceful protest at Alausa Ikeja, when some hoodlums came in in about 2 buses to hijack the protest. I think that was particularly on the 15th of October. And, there was the peaceful protesters had to repel them, and they left, in the middle of all of that. So this was obvious because at that point, people figured out that, yes, there was an infiltration. Who was the masterminder of that? Well, we do not know, or a lot of people are yet to know. But obviously, there was a planned hijack at that particular moment.
Hundreds of youths in Jos, the Plateau State capital, stormed a storehouse containing palliative items donated by the Coalition Against COVID-19. Items meant for people whose lives and livelihoods had been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown. In what can be described as a stampede, they carted off goods worth millions through masses of people. In another area of town, angry residents looted and vandalized the residence of former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara. Kogi State was not much different, as residents made off with not just food items, but roofing sheets and other materials. The Central Medical Store complex was looted and vandalized. Hoodlums carted off test kits, medication and machines for very sensitive and expensive procedures. Even during a curfew, the food stores in different areas of Adamawa State were buzzing with activity. Men and women hefted cartons of palliative items and sacks of grain. A bit puzzling, though, was the attack on the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the premises of the Northeast Commodity Association, where tractors meant for the Anchor Borrowers Program were housed, and the headquarters of the Customs Service in the state.
All of a sudden, hoodlums came in and started vandalizing government properties in the name of looking for palliatives. They even went as far as going to the offices of the Federal Road Safety Corps to go and look for palliatives. I don't know whether Road Safety Corps is now in custody of palliatives. So I want you to understand that we are dealing with hoodlums. Because if you are looking for palliatives, you will not go to FRSC office to go and look for palliatives. If you are looking for palliatives, tractors are not palliatives. Some people went as far as to go and vandalize and steal drips meant for sick people. Investigations so far conducted led to the recovery of 35 tractors. They are here, visible, with even the owners. You can see NECA written on them. The owners are here. 22 hand tractors, 28 hand tractor hose, 22 ejector sprayers, 1 carry-go tricycle, 15 bags of rice, 142 bags of fertilizer, 11 bags of guinea corn, 3 water pumps, 5 Indomie cartons, 19 pieces of excellent expectorant medicine. You can see their foolishness. 2 mini mattresses, 4 plastic rubber buckets, 95 plastic chairs, 3 cartons of herbicide chemicals, 4 hose pipe, 1 fridge, 1 borehole, head complete, 5 brush cutters, 18 bags of maize, 8 pears, and 1 trouser of customs uniform.
We have recovered substantial number of units of tractors. You can see them there as testified by the CP, and the recovery is ongoing. We are hopeful that we can be able to recover substantial number of looted items. Every item you have seen, either fertilizer, herbicide, chemical, including the tractors, all are loans taken to support agricultural production.
Even in Abuja, the nation's capital, nothing was spared. Not the food stores, nor the NYSC camp. Economists put the cost of damage around the country at a conservative 1 trillion naira, but say it could be much more than that. Seriki, who was part of the peaceful protest, wonders why mayhem was allowed to continue unchecked.
It's actually very surprising that even while the mayhem was going on in the state, we couldn't see police or army to come rescue those lives and properties that were destroyed by the miscreants in our society. So it was shocking that, yes, we are aware that miscreant criminals could take advantage of situation of things in the country. But then it is only shocking that both the government and the police officers, the Nigerian army, could not come to the rescue of the citizens of the country as at when needed the most, when those miscreants were actually vandalizing lives and property in Lagos.
Some #EndSARS protesters believe that if the movement had been more organized, much mayhem could have been avoided.
At the first week of the protest, the purpose of the protest had almost been achieved. So if at that time if we had returned to the drawing board to discuss the implementation, the actualization of the demands, I don't think that things would have, dovetailed into what it did eventually. Because I always say that there is no agitation that ends on the street. We would return to the drawing board, we would return to the round table. And it's on the round table that the discussion and the discourse about whatever demands that we have made would have been resolved. Because apparently it was a 5 of 5. The government came to say, look, of the 5 of 5, only about 2 could be actualized immediately. The other 3 would need a midterm, plan or a long-term plan. But for these few that could be actualized at this moment, we were going to implement it. We were going to end, SARS. It wasn't going to just be EndSARS. It was going to, move into reformation. And the reformation is not something that would take place, overnight. It's something that would need a process and, procedures. And if at this point, if the EndSARS protesters had come together to, identify a leader or a leadership and then discuss this in the long run with the government, then everything would have been very fine. The purpose would have been well achieved. There was international focus on the EndSARS protest. The strategy had caught the international attention. And of course, we saw that, a lot of people had started to reason with the youths to say, look, these guys are making a lot of sense. We are making a lot of sense.
In response to the youth's demands, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad was scrapped, and a new crop of officers, whom authorities assure the public are not the same set of people shuffled around, have started training for the task of keeping the country and her law-abiding citizens safe. The Minister of Police Affairs comes to see the training sessions. This is the Special Weapons and Tactics Unit, SWAT.
What we have trained the SWAT now is to...
The minister attempts to dispel doubts in the minds of residents about the team's preparations and eventual service delivery.
Active guard, position, take! I am very happy with what I have seen, and I am satisfied with the performance of the trainees. You have seen how they are tactfully conducting themselves. The Nigerians should expect a better service delivery, a more modern and a more humane approach to security situation in this country. You know, security is a kind of, crimes are very dynamic, and what we have trained the SWAT now is to take care of all the things that we want them to do.
Governors all over the country have been visiting vandalized sites to get a feel of how much destruction has taken place. The governor of Lagos State, after inspecting security installations, lent some succor to the police force to help the rebuilding process.
The state government will compensate all the families of the deceased on these unfortunate incidents that has befallen our state. The state government should take over the burial arrangements. We will take over the burial arrangements for the lost ones, for your officers that have fallen prey based on the incidents that has happened. The state government should consider, and the replacement, he used the word "come carefully." He said we should consider the replacement. We will consider it. The Security Trust Fund is here. The Executive Secretary is here. We might not be able to meet you toe for toe, but we will consider it. And he's here, he's listening to me. I'm giving him directive that he needs to consider each and every of your vehicle or your motorcycle that have been burned because of this uprising. Please take it on and let us deal with it as soon as possible. I think the most important one is that the state government should consider giving a free scholarship to the children of the officers that are fallen heroes during this period. And I have the special advisor education here, and I'm giving him instruction using the Lagos State Scholarship Board that all of their children will be given scholarship, will take over the scholarship of their children.
He has also signed an executive order to rebuild the state. The Inspector General of Police is also visiting his officers and men across the nation, not just on a fact-finding mission, but to boost the morale of his policemen. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police is ready with a report of the situation at hand.
I have 16 police stations burnt. We have police stations vandalized, 13 of them vandalized. We have 12 police posts burnt. And we have 5 police posts vandalized. So we have 91 police personnel injured and 58 police vehicles burnt. And equally, 13 police vehicles vandalized. Fortunately, and to the grace of Almighty God, over 90% of the injured police personnel have been treated and discharged.
He is also ready with his bucket list for the police force under his command.
We, like Oliver Twist, wish to make the following few requests. 1, that the IGP considers and approves posthumous special promotions for the police personnel who lost their lives to the recent EndSARS in Lagos State. So this will definitely give succor to their families and boost the morale of the serving officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force. That the IGP approves additional anti-riot equipment for the Lagos State Police Command. And 3, that the IGP approves and maybe releases 4 water cannons to the command to make the management and control of routes easier and more professional for the command.
Police.
The Inspector General of Police is full of encouragement for the policemen.
Anybody that comes into the country, the first sign of authority you will meet is the police. And when the police is viciously attacked by hoodlums, miscreants, in this manner that we've seen, the tendency is for the police to be provoked. And when you are provoked, you have the power, you have the capacity, you have the strength to repel these people. But you show restraint. You've shown maximum restraint by not using maximum force to repel the miscreants, the hoodlums, the criminals that went about destroying properties and killing people here and there. So that resilience that you've shown, in showing restraint, has shown that no amount of provocation will lead you to give credence to what they have been preaching of police brutality. So I congratulate you for that resilience. I congratulate you for showing restraint. Everybody knows that you are professional in handling the protesters, which subsequently turned violent. Not everybody in this country agrees that police is bad. Everybody knows that in every organization, in every institution, in every country, you have some few that are bad. Just like we have few in the police that are bad, the majority of Nigerian police officers are good.
The top policeman is visiting his officers all over the country, sharing positive messages and boosting the morale of the force in order to continue the never-ending duty of policing. In Imo and Edo states, he stresses the importance of community policing to safety of lives and property.
A psychological debriefing is key. SARS is a unit of the police force. It's not all police officers are SARS members. So a total overhaul is key. And of course, what you said with regard to an expert or a professional coming on board to help them in their pathway to healing, in their pathway to recovery, especially the people that are affected and the other members of the team that are, because you can't say you want to do psychological debriefing for the whole police force, but you can do that for, the unit and the department and people around them that need that closure. So that can be done because it's affecting the morale generally. Because any police officer you send outside now will be thinking, what if I am killed? What if because of my uniform I'm killed? What if I go to this environment and people tend to kill me because of the issues we are having with police officers? So aside from the morale, let me not even say a psychologist, mental health professionals that are psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, that team is needed in doing a total overhaul, evaluating, assessment, helping, like a triage. A triage means those that need immediate help should be helped. Those that are on that borderline that will need counseling, the support and all that should be they should look at it in an immediate, short and long time basis. Immediate, take care of it. Short and long time basis, strategies will be deployed in ensuring that when we have this reform, aside from the welfare package, it will be a total holistic approach that we are having to the police force as against just increasing salary. We need a new police force. We need to be able to see our police officers as Nigerian citizens, and we are happy seeing the police officers. The statement, police is your friend, is not what we citizens see. We should actually start seeing them that way. When you see a police officer, you are happy seeing a police officer. You are not afraid. So it's an enlightenment and an education that should be a nationwide thing. So that it's not just the police. We, the citizens, will also be educated, enlightened that this reform is for the betterment, is for a new Nigeria, and is for our whole, security and everything that comes with having them in the force.
It's not just the police force rebuilding after a trying time. Apart from scrapping the special anti-robbery squad and the demand to improve the lot of officers and men, justice for all victims of police brutality is receiving attention. Several states have inaugurated panels of inquiry to investigate human rights abuses against Nigerians. And the petitions have been piling up in every state, some several years old. Chinyere Igwetu is one of those appearing before the panel set up by the National Human Rights Commission for this purpose in Abuja, the nation's capital. The year was 2018, July 3rd, and the victim was Chinyere's younger sister, Linda, who was killed by men of the police force while on a night out with friends to celebrate their last day as corps members. Trying to keep her composure, Chinenye explains how her sister met her end.
She was shot under her breast, blood all over her clothes. So that's how we knew that it was a gunshot. Gariki Hospital, I said, go get blood. She has lost a lot of blood. I'm like, okay, can you take my blood? We're same blood group. Like, you don't take blood from women. That's what they told me and Maureen, my neighbor, that night. I can never forget. I'm like, why don't you take blood from women? Can I even at least see my sister? They said she was at the emergency room. So, God.
It's okay.
It's all right.
Let us sit down. Let us sit down.
Sit down. You can sit down.
Undoubtedly, the country has been through a trying time, but its judicial panels of inquiry, like this one, reform and training of the police, and bridging the gap between the nation and its law enforcement agencies can bring closure to victims and healing to a nation. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.